everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to talk about something that a surprisingly few number of players that I've talked to at least are even remotely familiar with, but something that I think is very important for a lot of more players to know about, and generally the consequences of what's going on here. And this is, of course, the LCS walkout. Now, if you guys are unaware of this, very recently the LCS Players Association voted with a overwhelming majority, their words not mine, of the players to conduct a walkout. This means that effective immediately, they would not be playing in the opening week of the LCS, and as of right now, the LCS has not actually resumed. The players are still effectively on strike until their demands are met. Now, this is coming as the result of Riot's recent update where they removed a mandate that organizations have to have a North American Challenger League team in addition to their LCS team. This happened earlier in May, and as of that decision being made, Riot, or 7 of the 10 teams immediately dropped their Challenger teams. This means that there are 70 North American LCS players, plus their support staff like coaches, immediately out of a job. And now this may not seem like a big deal off the cuff. This is, of course, just a lot of B-tier teams and B-tier players that aren't actually competing at the highest level of North American LCS. But this is an important issue because of the fact that there isn't a big level 2 system for League of Legends players outside of the Challenger circuit, right? A lot of people think that you hit Challenger and then a team finds you and picks you up and you immediately start playing the LCS, but that's not really how that works. It's very difficult to vet players who are at the top of the Challenger ranking because the skills that you need to acquire to be good at ranked League of Legends are not the same skills that you need to acquire to be good at League of Legends in a professional sense. And so while you can have players make it to Challenger, and even some players play in amateur leagues that are being put on by third-party organizers, there wasn't a scene like the NACL to help players play in a competitive environment that mimics the LCS that they will eventually, hopefully, be playing in at some point. So you can understand now why this is not even necessarily just a problem for the people playing in the NACL, but also for people in the NALCS. This is a region that historically has not been very good at developing talent, and it certainly is an issue then that Riot are saying, hey, well, we're going to make it even harder for you to develop talent by removing the league that you would be able to compete with. And now I don't necessarily blame Riot entirely for this. It was, after all, the organizations that chose to get rid of their rosters, but keeping the mandate in place, therefore, was an important part, and I think that it's very disappointing that Riot have said, nah, actually, we don't care. You don't have to keep your NACL teams. Now, this is the whole backdrop for the strike itself. Now, what's gone on since then is Riot have effectively attempted to strike break. Behind the scenes, they quietly dropped the rank requirement that pro players must maintain to play at the professional level. This was in the hopes of enticing, essentially, strike breaker players or scabs to join teams and then be able to be fielded in the first week of the LCS. Now, fortunately, the LCSPA, the Players Association, was able to make an announcement to say, hey, please don't accept these offers, stand with us in solidarity, and that seems to have been the case, as Riot have now come back as of last week with a big, long article that they wrote where they profess to care about the state of esports in North America, but also unequivocally reject all of the demands that the LCSPA has offered in exchange for a one-time payment that they're making to one of the tournament or third-party tournament organizers that helped put on the NACL. Now, obviously, this is a bit of an issue, and I don't want to entirely blame Riot for this again. One of the LCS players' demands, for example, was to have a relegation system like Valorant does, and League of Legends has had this previously. It's the kind of thing that just doesn't really work long run, especially not when Riot have moved to a franchising system that says you're going to pay us a bunch of money to let your team compete in our league. I don't think you're then going to turn around and say, but also, you gave us $10 million and your team sucked, so you're out of the LCS now, sucker. Sucks to be you. I don't think Riot are going to do that, nor do I think that that is a fair thing to say to teams. But a lot of the other demands make a lot of sense. For example, guaranteeing that well-performing players will have a contract if they win Summer Split in the next season just makes sense. Riot said some cock and bull story about how, good players should make sure that they have contracts afterwards. But I think having some degree of consistency built in isn't a bad thing. If you won Summer Split, it's likely that you were going to get hired on anyway, so I don't know why it's a problem for them to say, yes, we will let you we're going to guarantee that you will be allowed to play in Summer Split, right? That kind of a thing. It just sort of makes sense to me, and it's weird that Riot have gone so far in the opposite direction, saying we are going to reject everything that you've remotely attempted to offer, and even threaten to go nuclear on the whole situation by saying we'll delay the season for 2 weeks, but if the players don't choose to come back and play for us, we will cancel the entire Summer Split, which means that no one will be going to Worlds from North America this year. Now, this, I think, is an empty threat. North America has historically underperformed at every international tournament it's ever been at. You can't lose Worlds if you aren't at Worlds, as a joke for that. But also, I think that it doesn't make any... This, again, is sort of an empty threat for canceling the full season. Plenty of other regions have had walkouts like this and have been able to play their full seasons in weeks, if not months. And so for Riot to say, if we can't start in 2 weeks, we can't play at all, doesn't make a lot of sense, and it doesn't hold any water. And it really feels to me like Riot are trying to play hardball with this. They're trying to maintain a very tight grip over control of their professional circuit and their professional environment, and they really don't want to allow the LCSPA to have even remotely some degree of a say, whether they're worried about this from a grander picture or whether maybe they have legitimate actual concerns about how things are going. Sort of remains to be seen, but I'm hoping that they do come back and actually talk to the LCSPA. As far as I'm aware, they haven't even attempted to negotiate. Like I said, the article they published said, we reject all of their demands out of hand. And I would love to see Riot actually talk to the players that are playing their game for them, giving them free advertising and say, hey, we can help you guys get what you want. Here's what we're willing to actually offer. Because I think that's the only way that the NALCS is going to be relevant as a region. This comes amidst lots of other problems that the NALCS has had, of course, and I would love for Riot to actually give them something back. But in general, I'm really hoping that this goes well for the Players Association. I think they have a lot of honest gripes. I think the LCS has been sort of downhill as a region for a while now, and this is sparking a lot of conversation as well about the way in which esports are organized overall. There is a lot of power given to the creator of the video game, for example, and not a lot of power given to the organizations that are fronting a lot of money to field players, the players who are spending countless hours getting good at your game and playing it at a professional level, willing to stake their own livelihood, for example, on being good at this game and having good teammates and having an organization that supports them, right? There's a lot that goes into it that makes it difficult. And for the organization that owns it to basically say, well, we're going to just guarantee that nothing you do ever matters and you have to play by our rules, it doesn't sit right with me. And I'm hoping that the LCSPA is able to find a better resolution to this. But those are kind of my thoughts on this. If you guys have heard anything about this, let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts on this, or if you haven't heard anything about this at all, I'd love to hear what your first take about this is, whether you think the LCSPA is in the right, whether you think Riot is in the right. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like, and if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.